Hi, everyone. Welcome back again to the iConis podcast. One of your two crazy hosts here. This is Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. Hey, and on my side,
I go by the name of DJ Rod C. Holla at your boy. Come on, son. We want to have some fun. Okay, hi. What's up, people?
How you doing, man? How you doing? Holla if you hear me.
Holla if you hear. I'm good.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of wrestling. Which kind of ties in with this, right? So first of all, thank you everyone for tuning in once again. Thank you for watching this one. We're going to jump in. And before we jump in, once again, we're going to do our usual roundabout. And what I mean about the roundabout, we're going to turn around and say shout outs to people we know and like and say you should follow them too. So first of all, we want to give a big shout out to our man, Rod's taking notes, and make notes of it. You can see it on below on our channel and find it on the media. So we're giving it up to my man, Jimmy English, with Back to the Balcony. Look for the microphone on the red background. They talk about all movies, and even past the 80s now. He's doing them all. So he started season 2 of his podcast. Really a lot of fun. And he has different comedians on there, like myself and a whole bunch of others. And they come in there and we pick our movie. He'll watch it. We both watch it. And then we sit down and on his podcast for about an hour-ish, we just get right in there and talk about the unknowns, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole 9 yards. Have some fun with it. So yes, definitely check him out. Back to the Balcony with Jimmy English and guest. You can find the link on that through my website. Another person to shout out is my comedy brothers, right? So that's Dave Sokolowski, that's Thomas Patrice, that's Zolf Ali, and they all have their own individual sites. You can find their individual media, but we together form Touch of Gray. So picture this way. We are like the Canadian version of the Plastic Cup Boys. We're the Canadian version of, blue collar comedy. The difference is this group is diverse, right? So we got 2 black guys, 1 brown guy, 1 Polish guy. We're all in there. We're having a good time. Touch of Gray Comedy. Look us up. Once again, link below. You'll see it. Join it. We got over 80 videos and have kicked off our season 2 of our madness. So please. Yeah, exactly. You're still with us. Thank you so much for rolling with us. Like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget, we also have, so we got a lot of venues. So we do the videos drop every Tuesday morning on the iConis podcast on our YouTube page and 8 o'clock in the morning. And every Wednesday morning, they come on iconis.podbean.com. So iconis.podbean.com. But also, we're on Spotify and iTunes and all those other services that you can find the audio of our podcast. So please, follow, listen, go back, check the catalog. We got, 20 something videos. We're going to hit, 30 soon enough. So thank you for rocking with us. And if you want to find out all the links for all the stuff that I do, very simple. You go to barry3d.com. And last and not least, the man that makes us look pretty on this screen. Give it up for our boy, Jason Reese, better known as J-Bird. At J-Bird Digital Arts, you'll find him on all social media. He's the one that's designed our templates, our logos, everything like that. And even our merchandise. You can go and catch our merchandise through Redbubble. You can get a Barry 3D shirt and other merchandise. You can get an iConis shirt and other merchandise, hoodies and all that stuff, water bottles. So all the support is, appreciated. Thank you so much. And as I said, you can find all those links on barry3d.com. Go to my blog page, see where I'm going to be at. Tag me, hashtag me, the whole 9 yards. Join, have a good time. My man, Rod, where can we find you?
Well, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Well, I can be found on the internet.
On the internet. I'm on the net.
I'm on the net, son. No, seriously, definitely you can find me on Instagram. I'm all over the place, but you can find me on Instagram. Search for Mr. Rod C, MrRodC. That's where you can find me. Follow me there. Make a shout out. Let me know you found me through here. That's great. Also, you can find me on Twitch. I DJ there, having fun. It's a great environment. Great interaction. Everybody loves. Music playing. Everyone's having fun. We're having some good times, making jokes, just bringing some liveliness. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. That's where you can find me.
Hit it.
And that's it.
Chill. Don't bump the turntables. Switch. Blow. Switch. Oh man. And that's the beauty of it. So we're kicking it off. Thank you for joining us. First week up in October, and we're kicking off, October. We all know October is about ghouls and goblins, but it's also about magic. So we're going to talk about mystical characters over the month of October. And who's the mystical character we're talking about? You saw it in the name. We know we're talking about Juggernaut.
Juggernaut?
That's right.
Juggernaut. Juggernaut is a mystical person?
Yes.
I don't understand, Barry. Please explain.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So Juggernaut, right? And we'll give you, he is a mystical character. A lot of people assume that because he's in the X-Men universe, he's in the X-Men movies or and those crossovers, he's a mutant. You assume that he's a stepbrother of Charles Xavier. He's a mutant, but he's not.
All of that muscles, that's it? It's not mutant muscles?
That's not mutant muscles. That's magic power, man. It's not even roids. It's all magic.
Okay. Magic muscles.
Magic muscles. That sounds like a cleaning product, doesn't it?
I'm just saying.
Use magic muscle. Get rid of the toughest stains. So, so give you some backstory. Kane Marco, and they never really got into his mom. But anyways, so his real name is Kane Marco, right? His dad was working with Charles Xavier's dad at in a research center and working on experiments. They're experimenting with the atom and other kind of various radiations. So this is why the early days, the X-Men were, known as children of the atom, because they all thought the mutation was derived by radiation and just kind of went around that way. So Charles' dad was working with Kane's dad. There was, an explosion, and he was able to kind of get out. He could have saved Charles's dad, but he chose not to. So, because he didn't want to put himself at risk, so he could have, but he just kind of shafted him. So Charles Xavier, we all know, we've seen, the X-Men's mansion. That's Charles's mansion. Charles come from money. Charles, exactly. He got buku bucks. Dollars, rolling with the Benjamins, right? He's got a lot of money, and he comes from a very wealthy family. So, of course, now, Charles, still young age, his father's dead. His mom's kind of distraught. The mom now starts dating Kane's father. Right? This the rich are scandalous. I watched Dynasty. I know what I'm talking about. and it's true, man.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
The rich are scandalous, man. Watch Bridgerton. Watch Bridgerton.
That's another show.
Fellas, if you don't know Bridgerton, sit down with your ladies and watch Bridgerton. You'll see some scandalous scandals. So this is exactly what it was. The rich are scandalous. They got time to be scandalous. The poor, we too busy working. The rich, they can sit around and be scandalous. Tea and crumpets. The whole thing is, so Kane's dad starts dating Xavier's mom. They end up getting married. So this is how Xavier and Kane became stepbrothers. At the time, it wasn't even that much. So Kane was a couple of years older than Xavier. He was a bully because he didn't like, how his dad would kind of treat him. His dad would pay attention to Charles, treat him well, and treat his own son a little bit rough. So Kane was a little bit of a rebel. Kane would get into trouble. Kane would get into fights. Kane was jealous and resentful that Charles had money. That his own, Kane was resentful that his own dad would treat Charles better than he would treat his own son. So this caused a lot of tension within the house. Sorry, my bad. Mansion. Mansion. And this was what the resentment would sit there and grow until one day, they had a big fight. So when Charles first discovered his mutant power, so at first, as a mutant on average, mutants have a higher baseline than humans. And what I mean by that, they're automatically, even if you don't have superpowers to give you super strength or super speed, you are physically fit specimens. You're automatically a little bit stronger than the average human. The average mutants aren't stronger than the average human. So you got a little bit of strength, a little bit of resilience, speed, reflexes, the whole 9 yards. When he was young, Charles's power started coming in at the age of 13 when he hit puberty. He's like, Mom, why is my voice cracking? And where's my hair? His luscious hair fell out on its own. And, Kane would tease him about that. And then Charles's power came out where, Kane was thinking something and Charles thought what he was thinking and said it. And Kane's like, wait a minute, how'd you know that? I didn't say that out loud. Are you in my head, you little freak? That's exactly what he called him. Yeah. Right? So they would fight. Charles always wanted to kind of get acceptance from his older stepbrother. He's seen him as a brother. Charles was an only child. At the time, I know they've retconned this so many times. We're talking the original back in the 60s. So they would do this. And at one point, he kind of got fed up and he said, all right, Kane, you do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to bother, right? Kane's father, once again, there was an explosion at the lab. He had to save the two boys. This time he sacrificed himself to save Charles and Kane. If Kane wasn't so much of a dick, he would have stayed with Xavier, but no, they used to fight too much and went separate ways, even though he kind of kept in touch. And then when they became of legal age, they ended up just joining the army. The two of them. They joined the army and they went off to Korea, right? And while over there in Korea, and this is where it was life-changing for the both of them. So at this point, Charles knows he has these powers. He hasn't really gone deep with the powers. I mean, he does test himself. He's living a normal life. He has a theory there's other mutants out there, but he's never met one at this point in his life, right? I know, retcon, but we're going with the original. So Charles, Kane, over in Korea, doing a mission for the army, and it just goes belly up. Yeah, they're trying to get out of a minefield or getting shot at, and they go into a cave. While they're going into the cave, something compels Kane to go deeper. Charles is trying to tell him, don't go. Kane's like, whatever. Kane goes into the cave, sees a big statue with a giant ruby, doesn't understand it. Kane is more of a mercenary mentality. He's like, well, it's a giant ruby. It's worth dollars. Right? And then takes the ruby, and not realizing that was a shrine to Cyttorak, the god Cyttorak. And that shrine, that ruby, that gem, gave him the powers of Cyttorak, turned him into a living juggernaut. But at this point, the cave, there's a collapse, there's a cave in. Kane gets buried. Charles thinks he's dead. Charles just makes it out of the cave before it fully collapsed because he's further back, so he's able to get to the exit. He thinks, that's it, my brother is dead. I can't even detect his thoughts. Can't help him, can't detect his thoughts. Okay, Kane's dead. Charles moves on, and Charles goes, and with Charles' life path, he goes and starts going around the world. That's where in his travels, he meets Magneto. This is the first time he's, encounters somebody, like briefly. Then he goes and meets the Shadow King, has that whole thing. And in those travels, he meets a young Aurora Storm, right? Because she pickpockets him. And this is when he meets the Shadow Lord, and they have the second duel in a cafe. And then he meets Magneto after, and they almost work together. And then they come up with their ideology where Magneto's like, well, I'm tired of us people being hunted because, he saw what his parents happened with the concentration camps. And Charles like, no, you still have to have faith in humanity. Therefore, the big rift. During that time, my boy Kane, trapped under hundreds of thousands of pounds and almost tons of rock, right? But the gem transforms him into a living juggernaut and gave him this cool armor. So if you're watching, you'll see the picture, the classic look with a big helmet, the brown and a little bit of red armor. And he's got like the brass knuckles or the knuckles on there. And dude is tough because of that gem. He doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to breathe. And he can lift upwards past 100-ton plus, puts him in the Hulk class of strength. So he just casually dug his way out. It just took him time. And when he gets out there, he's like, well, I'm free. My brother was supposed to be here. What happened? He didn't even try to save me. Screw Charles.
Look at this son of a
That's right. It's like, Juggernaut went and he's like, well, I drank milk and milk did all this for my body. Now look at you, puny Charles. You ignored me. Dun, dun, dun. We're going to have some words. You're going to give him a big 5 across the eyes. and that was the start of Juggernaut, my friend. That's how it goes. So, and this character, right? So Juggernaut Kane Marco, and he came to Marvel Comics. He was created by Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby. And then he first appeared in issue 12 of the X-Men in July of 1965. Wow. So, he was that far back. And contrary, I'll say this, contrary to belief, as how they portrayed him in the movies, he didn't need to run then to be impervious.
Correct.
He just was. Simple as that. He was just a tough, bad man. So he's now become the avatar of Cyttorak. Mm-hmm. You probably heard the name because if you watch Doctor Strange, I think he mentioned in the movie, not so much, but but definitely in the books, Doctor Strange would cast a spell and he would use, okay, I got to cast the spells of the unbreakable bands of Cyttorak. So he would draw on that power to bind people in a magical like rope, so to speak, for lack of a better term, bands or whatever, but they're unbreakable and that's what Doctor Strange was using. He was drawing off that power. The Kane Marco as the Juggernaut is the avatar of that power. He's got a direct connection to the source. He's 5G. Source material.
Source material.
That's right, man. His gem gave him 5G with the magic universe, So that's the misconception that people think at first that he had to run. No, he was just unstoppable. Right. You can just keep on walking. Nothing can stop him. You can't cut him. Can't suffocate him. His only weakness, which is compensated by the helmet, is, telepathy. So that's why Charles is able to stop him using his powers, but only if he's not wearing that helmet. If he's wearing the helmet, my boy impervious. Deep thinking.
Yeah, deep thinking. Listen, the great thing about him is because of just reading up and you're finding out, like, he's strong already. Okay, so you see him. He's the unstoppable, the unmovable Juggernaut.
That's right. That's right.
The man is thick skin. He can take 5 across the eyes, take some beatings, and laugh at you type of scenario. But the mystical part of this is that the Juggernaut is able to create like a low status like force field. So basically giving him that additional type of invulnerability. So to any type of physical attacks or anything along that line. So very few people, unless you're literally in his weight class and his strength category, has the ability to at least give him some type of damage. Other than that, it's just like a fly bouncing off of him.
Yeah.
This is the mystical part of it. So wonderful, because this is we're opening up this our session this month with mystical beings, mystical characters. As Barry said in the beginning, Kane Marco, aka the Juggernaut, is not a mutant, but he's a mystical artifact. He's a mystical avatar. So it's a great way of understanding that not only is that there's other little, the invisible force shield, basically, that he has, that's mystical bound.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to understand, like, what, this character is very special. So I'm sure Barry will get to the point where we can understand that him with his only weakness, or one of his only weakness, is basically, like you're saying, under mental attacks.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. Okay. And I mean, I know a lot of times it's cool when you needed to have a cool fight and they had to throw somebody in there, they would put Juggernaut in for a couple of issues, right? So we know the Juggernaut started off with Xavier. And I mean, his whole thing was he just wanted to deal with Xavier and he wanted to kill Xavier back at the time. So he got over from Korea, started when he got the powers, he started walking and literally walk through the front door. Now, keep in mind now at this point, the X-Men have been formed. It's the original team. So they have the most experience with him. But at the time, none of them can hang. Let's be real. The Juggernaut was that strong. So the original team of X-Men, that was Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Angel, and Beast.
Yep.
That's it. And they got to stop the Juggernaut. And the X-Mansion, of course, they had the Danger Room. So they're already training. They had their costumes. The Xavier turned his, the school and put a whole bunch of defenses and weapons on the grounds hidden. So when the Juggernaut comes walking in, he walks through the front gate. They're throwing missiles at him, machine gun, whatever. And he's just walking, not running, just walking, taking his time. It just, whatever's kind of, I'm going to get you. The X-Men went out, trying to take him one-on-one teamwork. I'm going to get you. It was only when they realized that on his helmet, it's got these little nuts and bolts. So they had to kind of freeze those, to rip the helmet off, and then Xavier had to hit him with a psionic blast to put him to sleep. Okay, but you just put him to sleep. That's it. What are you going to do? He's unstoppable. I like the character. I think that when they created the character, they didn't realize how strong they made him. Mm-hmm. So it was hard for them to turn around and say, well, okay, we need a good storyline right, to make it, challenging for the heroes to fight. So every time, most of the times you find out he's fighting somebody, they always bury him and they, oh, well, we buried him. Okay, we can get away. He'll be preoccupied for a while trying to dig himself out.
That's it. The only way it's basically it's a distraction. It's a distraction tactic. You can't fully defeat him. We have to slow him down or just basically hold him off while we can just get out of dodge. That's really is always the best approach for him. That's it.
Well, that's it. And even when they wrote him, and that's what I thought it was like, and I'm not, I really like the character. So I feel they really need to give him a storyline. I wish they would give him a good storyline at his original power levels without dumbing him down. And I think they could have been used in other mediums. And at times of showing how strong certain characters are, how they've grown because they might not have been able to fight him before. And now they can fight him, but they can't stop him. Right. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of appearances that he's done. And at one point, he came out and he was fighting the X-Men one-on-one. And then another time he comes back and he teamed up with this other guy named Black Tom Cassidy. Because, they're running like a mercenary kind of thing. And Black Tom Cassidy is the cousin of Sean Cassidy. I think his last name is Cassidy. But he was the original Banshee. Banshee. Yeah. Right. And so the two of them would fight and end up in fights all the time. And, it's almost like Scott and Havoc, Cyclops and Havoc, their powers almost cancel out each other, but they would fight. So, but Juggernaut is there. That's the ultimate muscle. And he's not dumb. So let's go through a little thing here. First of all, okay, he's always been a physically big guy, right?
Right.
That's from even prior to him getting the power. He's trained in the army. So he's got army training, which means he understands and knows tactics, weapons, anything you would learn in the army. He has that knowledge. Mm-hmm. Then he gets, he becomes the avatar of destruction.
Just add more grease to the fire, people. That's all he was doing, just adding more grease to the mental fire.
Right.
You're not ready for that.
And then he does like some appearances. So every time he shows up, for example, Wolverine's like, oh yeah, we got you, bud. I'm like, who are you cutting? Not even Hugh Jackman Wolverine. We're talking the original Wolverine. We're talking like 5'2" Wolverine. Who are you cutting? Who are you cutting? Like literally, it's the Juggernaut. Like his name implies power. Who are you cutting, Wolverine? So here's a couple of stories. Yes, there's one where Wolverine thinks he's a little bit big for his britches, as we said before, and dealt with him. When I've read different appearances of the Juggernaut, what stops the Juggernaut most of the time is the Juggernaut because he just gets fed up and says, "I'm done."
That's the part I was like, I was letting you go through all the that's what I was saying. That's half of at least of the times, or majority of the time, when the only way to stop the Juggernaut is the Juggernaut to stop himself. When he just gets fed up and I'm like, say, okay, you know what? I'm just tired of fighting you well. I'm just tired. We've been doing this for so I'm just tired. Charles, I'll be back. I'll deal with you later. And just walk off. Leaves. As many times you see Wolverine like, that's it. That's it. He's fed up. That's to show you, like you're saying, Dave. He has no. That's basically that is his downfall. If you really look at it if this is real time, I know this is drawn, this is written, whatever the case may be, but if this is real time, that would be one of his stuff he needs to work. He needs to work through therapy. Yeah. Don't give up too easily. Don't give up. You get tired. You get frustrated.
Yeah. He doesn't. Not physically tired, just mentally.
No. Yeah, exactly. He gets bored. He gets annoyed. Yeah,
he gets annoyed. He's like, okay, I'm not done with it. I'm done with this. I'm walking away.
Annoyed and just tired. I'm like, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. I can't.
And that's my point. Okay, so look, there was one issue, and I can't remember the number of the issue, or I have to go and dig through the archives, or I have to go and search. There was one time he fought Spider-Man. So Juggernaut gets in town, and he just starts walking. And Spider-Man's talking to Madam Web, and the Juggernaut seems, I guess he had a contract to go and get Madam Web, and Spider-Man sees him, and Spider-Man's like, well, I'll stop him. Okay, Spider-Man, no. You have the proportionate strength of a spider.
Thank you, Peter.
Juggernaut, the avatar of destruction.
It's a good thought, Peter.
That's right. Peter. Kane Marco once again has 5G connection to get the power of the Juggernaut, from Cyttorak. And Strange is on a, maybe 3G when he uses the power to kind of bind people, because sometimes they break out of the bands of Cyttorak when Doctor Strange cast it, because he doesn't have a direct line. That's to show you the connection, speed, and strength.
I like that. Good.
Right? So Spider-Man goes, I'm going to fight him. And Spider-Man is doing everything to stop the Juggernaut. Most of the comic, Juggernaut doesn't even throw a punch. He just keeps on walking. He's walking through New York. The police show up. Oh my God, there's a Juggernaut. He just came out the river. Stop him. He walks through the cars. They're shooting at him. He just looks and just keeps on walking. As a guy's, get out of my way. You can't stop me. Why waste the bullets? Spider-Man gets in there, starts punching him, right? Spider-Man is holding onto his arm and trying to wrestle with him. And Juggernaut just walks through a building and brushes Spider-Man off. Spider-Man blinds him with his webs. Juggernaut just rips him right off. Said, okay, whatever. Spider-Man's pounding on him. And he even tells him, man, you're getting really annoying. And then Juggernaut walks through a building, just walks through a brick wall, through the building, and comes out the other side. And then all you see is the middle of the building is Spider. It looked like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. He walked in, he walks out, you see the outline of the body, you see Spider-Man lying there with all the stuff on top of him going, I gotta stop him. And it's like, guy, you can't stop me. And he gets all the way there. And then for some reason, he just decides to say, not worth it. And he goes, I'm leaving. And he turns around and he just walks away. And he walks right back into the Hudson River, into the Hudson, not dive into it. He walks into the Hudson River and starts walking on the seabed just to get away because he's annoyed.
Your point earlier is saying about, unfortunately, you don't want him to dumb him down.
Yeah.
But I would really love to see that Juggernaut. I would love to see, even if for one encounter, and you bring him back as a recurring role some other time in another Marvel movie, as these movies are supposed to be like comic books where you intertwine and one is here and you come back someplace else.
Yes.
We really, when Disney started pulling up and started making these X-Men movies and everything like that,
right?
I pray that somewhere down the line, Kevin Feige at least have a Juggernaut like that, where he is basically unstoppable, and the only person that will stop him is Juggernaut himself. If we get that, to me, it probably take people off because they were like, they won't. Those who don't understand him will probably like, I understand. Why did he stop? Because he's annoyed. He's done. Yes. I want to see that to show the full power that he has. So much power that is very. It's like, unless you come with a psychic blast attack, and you know what you need to do to slow him down / stop him. Other than that, you can't stop the Juggernaut. I want to have that character. I want to have that character there shown so we can actually go through that and feel the immense power of that avatar. And then we can see like, wow, no matter what, he's unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the X-Men had to team up with Doctor Strange to deal with him one time. So that's it. I like that issue. And then there was another issue, and it was the original X-Force run, right? When Rob Liefeld was drawing it. And this issue stands out because it's a crossover where the Juggernaut shows in, and it's a regular size. I mean, it's a regular format of the comic. But then the following issue, when Spider-Man teams up, and it's a crossover, and Liefeld drew the whole thing. So Black Tom Cassie's in there, Juggernaut's in there, the rest of X-Force, with my boy Shatterstar. That's what I like the most. The issue, you had to turn the comic sideways and open it up almost like how you do the Samsung Z Fold, right? The book had to flip up. It didn't go from left to right. It went from top to bottom when you're opening the comic. And Spider-Man's in there. You're fighting Juggernaut with X-Force. They're all trying to deal with it. So that's like, Cannonball, Shatterstar, Cable, right?
Right.
Yes. Who else was on that team at that time? Boom Boom was on there.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, and I'm missing a couple of other ones, but
Thunderhawk was there.
Yes, yeah. Was he on that team? Yes, he was on the team at that time. Yeah. So that
right now.
It's Warpath.
Warpath, sorry.
Warpath.
Warpath, right.
Warpath, exactly. You're thinking Street Fighter, but yeah, it was Warpath at the time. Right? So they were on the team and they had to deal with Juggernaut. So once again, Juggernaut's fighting. They were doing a hostage situation. That's where they brought in the first time the externals, which were immortal mutants. So they were mutants and they were immortal, but there was a very small society of them. Sunspot was on there at the time. So, anyways, Juggernaut's there. Spider-Man turns around. They're fighting, and he goes, Juggernaut's like, "You can't stop me." And it's like, "Oh man, we just have to slow you down." And then at the end of the issue, Spider-Man turns around and goes, "You know what? I had enough of all this kidding around. You know what, X-Force? You guys want to stop Juggernaut? I want to show you how to stop the Juggernaut." And I'm like, "You didn't even stop him the first time." but they do. But it was like almost like he's lackluster. So the whole thing with Juggernaut is he's not stupid. He's not the stereotypical big muscle-bound dumb guy. Right. No, he's a mercenary. He only goes into it for personal gain. And because he's got the gem of Cyttorak, he starts learning on his own more what this gem is, how it ties into him. In later issues, you realize that being the Avatar almost influenced his personality a little bit and always kind of made him angry. But he starts to learn more about magic than they give him credit for. Right. And you'll see that there's a nice miniseries that came out not too long ago, a couple of years back, where a 5-issue miniseries where he talks more about that. So he's not a fool. It's just that all the time they do it, it's like, okay, drop a building on him. Okay, he's encased in concrete. It's going to take him months to get out. The Juggernaut is capable of going toe-to-toe with the Hulk.
Yes, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, easy. And I think that's where I was expecting the Juggernaut to go. I was expecting to see him more like that. I was expecting the He's not big and slow. He walks slow because he's walking. When the Juggernaut runs, there's no... He moves at top speeds.
Right.
He's not just they make him that way, but I think they really undersold how they wrote him. So he took on the old X-Men, the original X-Men. He took on the new X-Men numerous amount of times. He teamed up with Arcade at one point to get rid of the X-Men. But once again, I don't think any writer has really been able to say, well, we got to find a way. We could bring in the Juggernaut, but we got to find a way out. Right. One of my favorite storylines is very short. It's a bar fight. That's all it is. So this is after, and if I got my timing right, this is after Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars, right, where the covers were done and the art was done by Mike Zeck. On there, Colossus, before he went to Secret Wars or got pulled into Secret Wars, Colossus and Kitty Pryde were dating, right? Peter Rasputin and Kitty Pryde were dating. When he got there, he met this other girl, this alien girl, but he couldn't understand her, but he just fell madly in love with her. And even Wolverine is like, "Oh, well, you're playing both sides of the fence, eh? Okay. You're going to pay, you're going to reap what you sow." And when he got back, he had to tell Kitty that he kind of cheated on her. Not kind of, he did cheat on her, right? And that ended him and Kitty Pryde, but they were young, but I'm not making excuses. That's how they wrote him. And it was really a good story arc for Peter Rasputin. So then they all go to a bar. Wolverine, so it's Logan, Peter, and Kurt, right? Nightcrawler. They all go to some dive bar, in their normal street clothes. They get in there. And Peter's always kind of being down about. He's just walking around being depressed because he's lost a girl he's loved, from Secret Wars because she went back to her planet. He's lost his girlfriend because he cheated on her and she doesn't want nothing to do with it. Yes, that's Rod. You got it. Yes. And in there, they go to the bar and, things start kind of escalating. Wolverine's there drinking. He's a little bit of he turns the pot, right? And he's in there. And then in, go
Logan.
Exactly. And this guy turns around and Peter, is walking. He bumps into this one guy by accident, but he doesn't recognize the guy because he's not in his normal Juggernaut armor. He's just in a black shirt and jeans, as you can see behind Rod if you're watching. But he's still got the size. So the guy turns around and then, Wolverine instigates a fight, and Kurt's like, Nightcrawler's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, No, he needs this. Either he's going to step up or he's going to get his butt kicked and he deserves it. Don't step in. This is all on Peter. What? It's all on Peter. He has it coming. He wants to be a big man. Let him be big man, so to speak. And Colossus and Juggernaut get into a bar fight, even to the point where when the fight starts breaking down, Juggernaut's like, "Look, I don't want no trouble. I'm just here having a drink. I'm trying to pick up a woman. I want to enjoy the night. Maybe I'll get lucky. Leave me alone. Logan recognizes it was Juggernaut right away. They just thought it was some big guy. Logan turned around, went and did the sniff, and he's like, "Oh,
I know you.
You
better figure that out.
You good? You do you. We gonna stand back here. Beer, please." And these two start going at it. It starts up, and then Colossus takes it. He's like, "I don't want to hurt you," and Colossus kind of getting big for his britches, and then he gets a shot, and the shirt kind of rips, and it's like, "Why can't you ex-babies leave your ex-punks leave me alone?" What? And it's like, "Oh, it's Juggernaut." Oh no! All the guy wanted to do was have a beer, pick up a woman, have a good night. He wasn't even being disrespectful. The X-Men started to fight. And they wrecked that bar. Trashed that place. And when I say X-Men, I can't even say X-Men. I have to say Kane and Peter, Juggernaut and Colossus. Wreck that bar. Demolish it because of their fighting. And even at the end of that fight, that one issue, it's like, "Hey, kid, you can throw a pretty good punch. You know what? There's nothing in it for me. I'm gaining nothing from it. You wrecked my clothes. I just wanted to have a drink and this. You know what? I don't have any motivation to fight you guys," because he's pure mercenary. You're not paying him. He's not worth it. He looks at the barman. He pulls out a big wad of cash out of his pocket. He just tosses it over to the barkeeper. It's like, "Yeah, that'll cover the damages later. I'm going to go and find another bar to have a drink. You guys don't follow me."
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. He stopped the fight. He made the decision, like, "You know what? I'm just tired. All I wanted was like 2 pitchers of drinks. I want to have some pretzels. I just wanted to talk to somebody.
Yes.
Don't follow me. I'm leaving. Here, this should cover the damage," and gone.
Yeah.
And all that, X-Men's out. More Peter looked yeah, Peter, you didn't stop him. He stopped the fight. Again, to go back and show how powerful this man is. Yes, this is what I want. I want to see something. People may look at it and think this guy is a weakling or he's soft. No, he has enough mindset like, "It's not worth my time. It's not worth my time.
No.
I got no time for this. I gotta go." And that's it. That's what I want. I mean, that's a different type of character that you don't see often. And now that I'm even saying it, I'm really trying to think. I'm sure there's others, but it's a small magnitude of characters who stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like Ghost Rider, the original Ghost Rider with Johnny Blaze, right? He's possessed by a demon.
Exactly.
Right? He uses his powers. He's got control over it. Okay, fine. He's got the avatar of destruction in the Marvel universe.
Right.
He could be throwing down with Colossus and Hulk and Thor, and he has at times. But the times I think they got lucky that they had to write it because he wasn't the main star. Right? His moral code, his moral compass is gray. So he's that strong that nothing can hurt him. So he's got military training, as I said before. He's got the powers, of Cyttorak.
Right.
And he understands magic. Now, when I say understands it, he understands it. I'm not saying he's casting spells, but he knows how to use it. He knows, what certain things require, right? I read his 5-issue miniseries, which is called Juggernaut. So in this miniseries, you see how he goes from his classic look to a newer look. They do make him a little bit weaker, but at one point he's in limbo. And when he's in limbo, he goes back to his regular body, regular size human. The armor's too big for him. He gets some rope, some vines, he ties up, and he starts dragging the armor behind him, and he's like, "Okay, I know how to," he goes, "Oh, I'm in limbo again. Okay, I know how to get out of here." Grabs it, starts walking with it for, a month or so within limbo. He gets to the tree at this crossroads, and the tree has arms pointing out of it, pointing in different directions. He goes, "All right, I need you to direct me on the way home. I understand. I have to give something that I really cherish as a sacrifice. Here, take the helmet of the original Juggernaut, my original Juggernaut helmet. Here you go. Point me on the way home." Whoop, okay. Teleports him back from Limbo back to Earth, in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he lost, he doesn't have the power of Cyttorak anymore, but he knows what he has to do to get it back. And in that 5-issue, there's 2 stories going on. So it's kind of showing you how he got the power back, how he's a little bit weaker, his new look. I like his new look, like the new costume and all that. I like that. It was nice. It was a nice updated look on his costume, but it shows how he got the powers back, why he's weaker in that storyline, right? And then how he's finally severed ties with, Cyttorak himself.
Right.
He's like, oh, you want to be my avatar again? He's like, yeah, okay. There's a reason why that guy, that particular god, likes giving him the power of Juggernaut, because other people have used it, other people have found it, other people are trying to get that power back while Kane's still around, and all the time, no, he won't give it to anyone else. He'll only give it to Kane. But in this storyline, Kane finally turns around and says, yeah, well, you know what? I don't need you. I have the power, but I'm not going to be your avatar anymore. You kind of influence my decisions and make me angry. Boom, I got the power, but I don't need you to power me. So it's cool, but I want classic strength, Kane Marco back. They're trying to make him like an anti-hero. But once again, when we make him a bad guy, make him a good guy to make him weaker. I want him to be classic Kane going through, and I mean, he should have been part of like the Thunderbolts. Where they had the oh my god, Norman Osborn formed his own team, and they're all like villains, but they're all acting like good guys to kind of get in, and then they were working for the government and all that. That's something that Kane should have been a part of. I don't know why they didn't pick that character. He would have been great because he's not looking to be a leader. He's just looking to get paid.
Right.
So in that same storyline I'm telling you about right now, that miniseries, he turns around, he gets a legitimate job. He starts working with damage control. And literally what he does for damage control is demolish buildings after superhero fights. So let's say a big superhero fight happens and they fight during a big building, sky, whatever, and it gets damaged, but it has to be, cited for demolition so they can rebuild it. Okay, well, instead of hiring a demolition company, they pay Kane Marco the money of a demolition company, and he'll walk in and say, okay, and he'll go through and destroy the whole thing, and he'll come out, and it's all done in a couple of minutes, and it's only one person instead of it taking months to destroy this building.
Plan and everything like that.
Yeah, it's done. It's done in a couple of minutes, and that's his bread and butter, and he's happy with that. So he's grown as a character past that, and even going further. I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but even going further. If you go, in an alternate storyline, in an alternate future, there was Marvel Next or Marvel 2. So you had Marvel Comics and there was Marvel 2. So you had Avengers Next, and then you had another, Juggernaut. But he went by the title of J2. That was his name.
Oh, J2. That was the J2 one. Yes.
So he was the son of the original Juggernaut.
Yeah.
So he got his powers, and they explained that, and he joined the Avengers in the future, and he's trying to, do good by himself, and he's trying to do good by his dad.
His father.
Yeah. And then finally they bring in the original Juggernaut, and when they bring him in, he's like, "Oh man, I'm out of Limbo again. Thanks for bringing me back, son." And when you read J2, you see him in his own version of the Juggernaut armor, and he always has like a plaid shirt tied around his waist, and you're like, "How did that shirt get there?" And going through the small little storylines between the Avengers and J2, you realize that when he calls on the power of Cyttorak, he's not calling it from the Avatar. He's getting it from his dad. So the costume gets teleported on him. And that shirt is a shirt that is his dad's favorite shirt. So when Kane comes back from Limbo back to our plane, he's like, "Hey, son, you've grown up. I haven't seen you since you were a little baby. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad to be out. How's your mom? Hey, I love you." And she's like, "Kane, what do you do?" He's like, No, I'm not doing no superheroing, no supervillain stuff. I just want to spend time with you and catch up on what we lost. Son, keep the power, And he goes, "Only thing I want is, oh, that's my favorite shirt. Here you go, Dad." That was it. To me, that was a nice ending for this character because, he doesn't need to come back. Let him have his swan song and go on. But in between, come on, you try to tell me, and they put him on different comics. They try him here and there. At one point, he joined another team called, from Malibu Comics, where they went from the Marvel universe into a different universe and teamed up with different characters and formed that team. But the Juggernaut is not how how they portray him in the comic books. I love it. I want him to be back to his original level. How they portray him on the movies. Okay, he has to be digital because he is that big.
Yeah.
Right? But when he fought in the Deadpool 2, when he shows up, Juggernaut to me should have been full out Get rid of the prison outfit.
Yeah,
Get him in his costume. You know, him fighting Colossus, that was a good fight. But how Colossus went around and juke him up in the eye with that piece of metal there, like a brass knuckle, that eye would have grown back like almost instantly. It shouldn't even happen.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good part to a good thing to bring up, because now it's leaning back now on the mystical side of it. That this is where it comes that he's impenetrable. You know, you can't take shots where. But if something like this, he gets a finger or something get cut off type of scenario, it grows back.
Yes.
And that's, again, not a mutant. That's not a mutant state. That's the mystical aspect of it, of making the avatar one whole avatar. You know what I mean? To have the full power. So, I mean, honestly, until you just said that, I completely forgot. They don't do that often.
No.
Because again, to show how tough he is, it's very hard to actually hurt him or, or penetrate his skin type of scenario. But when he does regrow and regrow that missing limb or missing part. So no, that's good again to bring back full circle.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, look, so Juggernaut turned around and he has a good introduction within the X-Men books. If you read some of the, the Malibu one there where he goes in a different universe, that's a fun read. If you read J2, from when they did that line there, that was a fun read and gives a lot more insight to Juggernaut, Kane Marco, even though it's his son. So I those are storylines that stood out for me. The last 5-issue miniseries that came out a couple of years back, a couple of years, just recently, and that one, with his new look and all that, I like the new look, but I want him back to his old power levels. Here's what I say: I see all these movies that are focusing on just the villains, right? For example, all right, there's a movie focusing just on Venom, and then they did one on Joker, and they were good. They were way better than I thought they would be. Right. And now they're talking about maybe doing a Penguin one after the Batman movie. And I'm like, okay, but I don't want to see solo villain movies. If you're going to do a solo villain, what I would love to see is one on the Juggernaut. And it doesn't even have to be a movie. Do it. Marvel's gotten away from their direct to DVD, so to speak, cartoons. This would be a nice adult themed cartoon, because in his story, Kane has dated She-Hulk. Him and She-Hulk were dating. Not duped, not mind wiped, not nothing like that. She was a lawyer, but she likes Jennifer Walters likes staying as She-Hulk. He's Kane. Okay. They both enjoyed and had their sense of humor and got along really well together. I would love to see that as a crossover going on. I would like Kane more in the mystical realm, right, because he knows about Limbo. The only thing I say, he needs a psychiatrist because, one, he's got a short attention span, and two, he must have post-traumatic syndrome from being buried every single time people fight him.
So true. Again,
literally, that's what he said. It's like, even in his book, it's like, oh man, don't worry, he's covered, he's being buried again. He must be okay with it. And he comes out like, no, I'm not. Because that's how they deal with him every time. He's just an untapped resource.
Yes. Listen, it's you brought up some beautiful points, and definitely is something that, to make it a straight to DVD or straight to animation movie would be great. Give us, show us that background, because not only in the mystical end of it, we know that there's always going to be a deep connection between him and Charles Xavier. So we will always know that no matter what in the X-Men's world universe, we know at least that he is one of the rogue galleries villains or oppositions.
Yeah,
because we're never going to say he's a villain. Well, he's a villain to a certain degree. He's a mercenary, but the opposition, he's always going to be one of those oppositions in the X-Men's rogue gallery that you can say, if you bring out X-Men's oppositions, I'm dead sure within the top 10, someone's going to mention. Someone's going to mention Juggernaut at least a couple of times. Someone's going to mention that a couple of times. And
here's the fear, because a lot of times everyone's looking for the newest guy. So he gets overlooked. He flies under the radar. Here's my throwaway at an idea. Right? What I would love to see is turn around. Okay, we know what his background is. Okay, go through his history, do it again. All right, fine. Bet, we're good. Now let's take it a step further. He's the avatar of a god of destruction. right? We know there's multiple different gods within the Marvel universe. Some are good, some are bad, different pantheons. They're there. We Hercules, Thor, right? The Eternals, who are godlike. They are seen as space gods, the Celestials. So you're trying to tell me that the god of destruction has an avatar on Earth, and this is before he's kind of renounced it. Let's just go a little bit old school, right? It's prior to this miniseries that I like from him. The avatar of Earth has, he's the avatar of destruction for this god, Cyttorak. If you're the avatar of a god, you should follow and do what the god asks you to do. Right?
Okay, right.
So, no matter what religion you are, you follow, if your God says, hey, do unto others and do unto you, be good and okay, fine. But if you are saved from a god of destruction, he's going to call up and say, all right, look, man, you're my avatar on Earth. Why am I not seeing no destruction from you? You should be the center of all destruction. Where are you at? What are you doing? You are my representative on the plane. Do something to make me happy. Because that God doesn't give the power to that person over and over and over again without expecting anything in return. So Kane Marco has not fulfilled what he's supposed to do. Let's go back. Maybe he made a secret pact saying, you save me and I will represent you on Earth. But he's not representing a God on Earth, right? And you think that God's going to be happy? So two things happen. It's either Kane Marco's got to step up his game or he loses the power. Doesn't want to lose the power. He likes the power. He thrives on the power. So he's in a dark place that he's got to turn around and start wrecking havoc. He got a wreck shop. And that should be the storyline of, how they did, like, for example, World War Hulk. Hulk was just pissed off. They got rid of him and he came back and he took over Manhattan. I want something that level with the Juggernaut. And clearly Juggernaut is, he's the avatar of a god. So Hercules should be in this. Thor should be in this, dealing with him. Throwing the Hulk just for power level should be in this, trying to deal with him, right? He's on that plane. Doctor Strange should be coming in there, and some of the other mystics within the Marvel universe trying to stop him. He should be. There's an end goal as a god. You're like, okay, well, I've waited this long, and I made you my avatar for so long. This is the item I've been waiting for. It is now there. Someone has found this particular item I want you to get to help me destroy, my poop, imprison me, because the god himself has been banished. So he wants to be unbanished. That should be the end goal. They've not got deep enough with that. And that's where that storyline, in my opinion, needs to go. Right. It's like, help free me, and then you won't have to serve me again, but I'll let you keep the power. We know gods lie, right? The evil gods always lie. So that's what he's going to say to motivate him, and then let him go. Next thing you know, what? Juggernaut's on Mount Olympus? What do you mean Juggernaut's in Asgard? Because with his power, he's able to somewhat teleport sometimes and manifest himself. All he needs to do is focus and not get bored or just say, yeah, whatever. And he has to get influence. And as a god, he can influence his thought. He does it already. This is why the Juggernaut was always so angry. He was angry, and he fed off the anger by just putting a little bit more gas on that fire without Kane Marco realizing it. Right. Kane Marco could go out there and wreck shop. Kane Marco could turn around and punch out Thor. He could have kept Thor away from his hammer for more than a minute. Back when he had to hold that hammer for a minute. If not, then he would change back into Donald Blake. He could have done it. He wanted to pick up the hammer, but he could have held back Thor. Thor would have thrown the hammer. Let me go. Oh, okay. Hey, Donald. So he's easily thrown away and underestimated. And that's the problem. They really need to give him a world level extinction event where Juggernaut's saying, yeah, I've had enough. This is what's going to happen.
You know what?
No one can stop me.
No, I'm liking what you're saying, because that would make a perfect animation movie. Because now you have the ability that you can draw on Hulk, Thor, Strange to help out,
Wanda.
Wanda. Yeah, I mean, you can pull in a whole bunch of resources, especially now that they're all, at least that many people have already been listed in the MCU. Just given the voiceover, come back and yeah.
They did it for What If. A lot of those actors came back to do their voices for What If.
Exactly.
So, right? Let's get past. I mean, as fun as the line is, right? Let's get past the line of "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." Okay, that was funny when he said it at one time, but let's get past that. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. He's one villain that has fought pretty much most of the people in the MCU at one point or the other. But every time they think they can't beat him, well, they really don't, because he just walks away. I want one time for him to give them 5 across the eyes and say, okay, I've had enough. I'm not going to be laid back anymore. I've got a goal. Right. My God's now telling me I got to go and destroy this or do that. Let's take this to a God level event. Make it a crossover that can be centered around Juggernaut.
Yeah, I like that. I really do like that.
You know, we had events of Atlantis attacks, and that was all through the annuals of Marvel at one point. And there's other ones that go through Marvels, and Marvel have their yearly annual stories, and they would cross over. Juggernaut is just waiting to have that for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, as I said, live action? No, I know they're not going to do one live action. I understand that. I respect that. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't think it would ever come up. You'll see him live action in, the movies as a small role, but it won't make him the main bad guy, which I think he should be. But give me a decent, 12 comic book miniseries. I'd be happy with that. Give me a animated, movie
an hour,
with him just going.
Hour. Yeah. Listen, I think this is so well thought out that I'm saying well thought out that, I mean, this is a nice thing we could work on, because once people see the results off of that, it's now going to pique the interest and make them realize, like, there's a lot of things Juggernaut is unutilized and can be put into the godlike, Thor-like versus Hulk-like levels, and just give the opportunity to see the only scary part on that. The only scary part on that is that if you're going to look in the business sense, the same way that we said earlier, it's to show how true powerful Juggernaut is. Now it's only to show that the strength levels of the others, that they can't keep up with him. So, I mean, it's going to be, that's the reality of it. So it's going to have to come down to the point, like you said, they would have to, the mission is him to get that goal and get that stone or whatever the case to be for him. For the opposition, aka the good guy, Strange, and all of them to realize he's not making destruction just for hearsay. He's doing it for a reason. And if they realize what it is, then they would have to say Strange would have to meet him at the pass or get ahead beforehand to say, this is the rock you want, disappear, whatever. Now you have your end goal is completely gone. And at that point, that's when you see Juggernaut say 3 and then turn around and just walk into walk back and gone and just say, I stopped the fight. Yes. I'm done. My mission is now over. My goal is gone. You made my goal disappear into another plane where I don't have access to, or whatever the case, or destroyed it. My whole mission was to get that stone. Now it's gone. Fine, I'm going back home. And that's it. And that will just show that he stopped the fight. He stopped the event, turned around and went back home. And everybody's like, he's not coming forward. He's going back. I guess the fight's done. We won. No, technically, he stopped it. You didn't technically win per se. But again, it goes back to showing that the power that he has and letting everybody know that until you either remove the end goal for him.
Yep.
Or he makes the decision to stop on his own. Those are really the only two criteria.
Yeah, don't downplay him. Don't downpower him. Don't downplay him. Exactly what it is, man. I just want to see him come out. Has a goal saying, okay, you know what? I gave you the power all the time for this because I believe in you, your training and all that. The smart thing would be is to see him reading like ancient texts and learning a little bit more about the power of Cyttorak and how he can manipulate it. So they would show how it's written differently, for him to use his power differently than just simply punching and walking. Right. You look at, for example, a guy like Grant Morrison. Right. I like how Grant Morrison writes. So way back, he started doing his version of the Justice League. And on that version of the Justice League, in one of the few earlier issues, Aquaman is up in the North Pole or the Atlantic, whatever it is, one of those ice-filled places. And he's standing there and all these people around him, and they're like, oh, look, it's the one that talked to fishes. He can't do anything to us. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, now a lot of people make jokes about Aquaman, but Aquaman can lift up to 60 tons. His skin is resistant to small caliber fire, so bullets would just, handguns or whatever just bounce off of him. He's got heightened strength, speed, and all that. But Yes, can he talk to fishes because he has a communication? We all know, right? But in how Grant Morrison wrote it was, he's like, oh yeah, Aquaman's like, yeah, that's right. People make fun of me because I talk to fishes, but you know what? All men originated from sea life by that one cell amoeba that crawled out the sea. Therefore, we still have a trace of DNA of fish within us. So on that note, and you see him going, and he really pushes his abilities, and he caused all the people that are around him holding machine guns to have seizures. He triggered seizures in everybody around him. That was the first time I've seen Aquaman use his power that way. And I'm like, on board. Because if you had that power, you're going to try different ways to test it. So it's just talking to fish. He's like, no, I'm going to find that part in your body that is, connected to the amoeba. And now you're all having seizures. You're all on the ground, shaking around and frothing at the mouth. Okay. And I'm just going to keep on walking. Oh, I got a little bit of a nosebleed. Yeah, whatever. I got a little bit of headache. Yeah, it'll go away. Good luck with your seizures. He dropped about 12 guys just about thinking about it. I want that type of writing for the Juggernaut. To use his powers in different ways and maybe no one's thought of besides just punching and being impervious and running around. Right. I want to see that aspect. And he's smart enough to do it. Kane is smart enough to do it.
Right.
So, okay. Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. Any last thoughts there, Rod?
No. No. I agree with you on that. No. Nope. Nope. No, seriously, I'm agreeing on it. It's a great idea. We definitely walk through a great journey of understanding Kane Marco, the Juggernaut, what he is, who he is, and what he can become. And I like this, and I hope that someone has the ability to hear this. I hope we can spark some conversation and basically get people to start thinking, like you said, thinking of the Juggernaut from a different angle, thinking from a different way, and realizing that, you know what, this guy has some untapped power, some untapped resources that can be used. And once it's explained in this particular manner, we can see a different light, and hopefully it can reach the heights, like we said. Won't be the only ones, the two of us be the only ones who enjoy it, but anybody else who will see this vision and realize that, hey, the ability for the Juggernaut to come forward, it's the man just kicking down. He's not even kicking down. He's just walking through the door. Bam!
I'm here.
That's it. That's what it's going to be. Because literally, if we can get the same type of, listen, as I said it, I'm envisioning it. We've seen it in the comic books, but you brought it back. Him walking through the gates of Westminster, and just walking through the gates and walking through the door, and whatever the case would be. Give me that. Give me at least a piece of that too as well. Give me a little nostalgia that he's going through the X Mansion, and you can't stop him.
No,
you can't stop him.
You can't. And I'll say this.
Give me that visually. Give me that visually, and that's
Thank you. Exactly. And I'll say this. Okay, so I'll correct myself here. So I'm looking through my notes and I realized, yes. So he was on the Brotherhood of Mutants. Exiles. That was that team with Malibu Comics, and he kind of crossed over there. He was on a New Excalibur, Lethal Legion, X-Men at one point, and he was on Thunderbolts. So my apologies. He was on Thunderbolts, not in probably the earlier issues I remember, but he was on Thunderbolts. So he was definitely there. And he did have like a moment where he turned into he was Captain Universe, got the powers of Captain Universe. That's one of his aliases. And then another one was Kurth, Breaker of Stone. So there's a whole God. Right. So he got that at that point, but I just wanted it more expanded. I want him to be the focal point.
Right.
I think Marvel can definitely do more by him and make him the focal point. I'm a big fan of use who's already there and stop trying to make the next big thing, because sometimes, some of the new characters that people are creating are great, but you have great ones there that just need a little bit of a little fine tuning, a little tune up.
Yeah, and watch it from a different angle.
Yeah, someone look at a different angle, a little tune up. Don't depower him. You already do it. Give him back his original power and let him go. You have no idea what the world's your oyster, man. It's gonna be your playground. So that is it for me. So on that note, thank you very much. This is Barry 3D, and I'm sitting here with
DJ Rod C. Yes.
What? Don't forget, check out all our stuff. Take all the links. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast, the videos. Spread the love. You can find us at all the links once again on Barry3D.com. That's my website. See me doing my comedy all over and this. And as I always like to say, thank you for tuning in, everyone, again. And, this whole world we talk about was created by a pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. Keep on dreaming. Route.
I'm the Juggernaut. No, I'm not saying that word. I have some brought up. See, I ain't gonna say that word, but boy, I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. 5 across the eyes. Nice.
I gonna grow, but I gonna grow. I grew. Remember, out of here before I talk to trouble.